Hello everybody and welcome to the Eclectic Knitter Podcast. My name of course is Raylene, aka Come On and Knits. New location, as you can tell. The last episode was recorded before the new year, but it wasn't posted on the blog or iTunes until last week, I think. It was, however, posted on YouTube earlier than that. I just didn't have a chance to upload it and do everything else I needed to do. So anyway, this is episode 82. It is January 23rd, 2018 at 3:21 Central Standard Time. It's a overcast, -6 Celsius kind of day. Haven't done much. I'm doing laundry, so if you hear any water running or anything like that, laundry's upstairs, so that's what I'm doing. Otherwise, let's get to the knitting. I have one finished object that the ends aren't woven in, so it's a cheater finished object. But after the ends are woven in, I'm not sure I will remember to bring it out again, so we'll just leave it at that. I finished my granny square blanket. If I can figure out which direction this goes in. So as you can see, I have 2 rounds of border. It has not been washed either. It is 10 squares wide by 12 squares high. And I haven't woven in the ends on probably about 4 rows of the white part for the most part. So this is finally done. I decided to just get it finished because I have that granny stripe afghan now on the needles or on the hook, and having 3 blankets was getting a little bit tense for me personally. It was fine. If you have more than 3 blankets on the needles, go on, but this had been on the hook for 2 years. I started it in September of 2015, and I finished it just after the new year. So this is leftover sock yarn for the centers. And then the outside and the border is Tannis Fiber Arts Pure Wash Fingering in the natural colorway, and I used almost exactly 2 full skeins of the Tannis Fiber Arts natural for the 120 squares that I did, plus the 2 rows of border all the way around. So I bought 4, not knowing how big it would be or how much it would use. So I used half of that, which means I still have 2 more skeins and I can use that to do the border on my granny stripe blanket if I want to. I really like it. My niece kept wanting to help with it. She's very cute, too cute for her own good, you know, as children do. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. I do need to wash it and finish weaving in the ends. So once I'm finished weaving in the ends, I think I'm just going to wash it in the washing machine on delicate and dry it on delicate. I don't think I'm going to actually block it. A, I don't have a place to lay it out flat to dry, and B, I kind of like the texture of it now. So yeah, that is that. My cozy granny square blanket of awesomeness. That is my only finished object, although I have a couple other things that are pretty close. The first thing that I'll show you is, we'll go with something you've seen before. Living in my Fat Squirrel fiber bag. This is my Pavement sweater by Vera Valimaki. I am knitting this out of Madeline Tosh work sock in the Pavement colorway because I'm knitting a pavement in pavement, and that just kind of makes me happy. I am doing a slightly larger gauge, so the biggest size that the sweater comes in by default at the gauge that it is, I think it's 22 stitches per 4 inches, is a 53 or 54 inch bust. I need it slightly larger. So I'm doing this. This is a sport weight sock. It's a 75/25 superwash merino nylon. It's only available in their online store. And Sorry, I feel like I'm losing stitches, but I'm not. Okay, so I am doing this at a gauge of 20 stitches per 4 inches instead, in a sport weight, like I said. I am about 8 inches, well, 7 inches, 7 or 8 inches past the armholes, where you split off for the armholes, and I have knit the sleeves. So I did like an inch past the where you split for the sleeves, and then I picked up and knit both sleeves. Because then once I'm done the body, so I get down, you do 16 inches past the split off, and then you do short row shaping for the swoopy hem on the front and the back, which is like a split hem with, yeah, it's short rows. You can see it in the pictures, so I'm not really giving anything away. Then you do that on both sides, and then I'll be done. Once I bind off the body, then it's done. So this is knitting really nicely. I have gone through 2 full skeins. This is my 3rd skein. I am not alternating skeins because it's a semi-solid tonal. I know I should, but I haven't noticed any like weird pooling or anything, or even striping. Like there's of course tonality to it, but I haven't noticed anything that's really obvious with changing skeins. And I bought these all at the same time directly from the Madeline Tosh online store, because their work stock base is only available there. So I'm really happy with it. I haven't had any problems. I'm okay with my choice of not alternating. You should alternate. I should have alternated, but I didn't. And this time it is working out. It did also work out for my my worsted boxy, mostly because like there is some change in the amount of speckles per skein, but I don't care, and nobody's commented saying, hey, that area doesn't have as many speckles as the rest. What's happened? Everyone just says, oh, that looks like such a nice sweater. Oh, it looks so nice. Where'd you get it? You know, that kind of stuff. So this will probably be the same, but there's no speckles. But anyway. So yeah, that is going. I haven't touched it for a number of days, but I have gotten quite far. The next thing, everything else is new cast-ons. So my Leaves of Grass shawl by Jared Flood out of Woolmize Lace Garn, that I haven't touched since the last time you saw it. My Aquina scarf by Carrie Robb out of Beaver Slide Dry Goods, Merino Mohair 9010 and Mountain Midnight, I haven't touched since I recorded last, but I don't think I touched it prior to that either. It's been a while since I've touched that one too. So the next thing is a pair of socks. So this is the Perfection colorway. So this is by Lollipop Yarns. This is her Beefcake base, and it is in the Perfection colorway. I am knitting these for a friend of mine who recently moved to Texas and realized that, hey, winter can be cold. So this is, I mean, I've knit both socks already in one heel. I just need to do the second heel. So this is the first sock. She's got small feet, which I love. So I'm doing contrasting cuffs and toes, but I'm just doing the heel in the regular stripe, because honestly, after doing the cuffs and the toes, this is how much of the mini skein I have left, and I'm not willing to risk doing the heels only to run out on the second one. So this is my second sock. I have obviously not done a heel yet, but I just need to do that, and then they're done and they can get mailed. Those I am knitting on a US 1, that's a 2.25 millimeter needle. I'm using my Haya Haya interchangeable sock set. I love Haya Haya needles. They are the only needles that I use. I actually destashed all of my Chiagoo needles, Chiagoo, whatever, red lace, red cable, ones last year sometime, because I love high hives. I love the sharps. I love how sharp they are. I love the cable. It doesn't get, I found with the red lace, because it is still a metal, it's like a metal twisted braid cable. It got kinks in it that I couldn't straighten out very easily or at all. So these ones have a plastic cable, and while it has memory, it doesn't develop those kinks. So that's my needle woes, or talk, I guess. My second thing, I started a pair of socks. This is last year around this time, I knit a pair of skew socks, and this is Nomadic Yarns Spark sock. It's her glitter sock in the Sugared Plums colorway, and this is a tiny Fig Newton Stitch Progress Keeper that I just have on there for funsies. So anyway, I knit a pair of skews out of this skein of yarn, and they didn't fit me, and they didn't fit my mom. So I ripped them out maybe a month or two afterwards, and so I have two little balls, and so I started just doing a pair of regular vanilla socks. These are being knit on US Zeros. That's a 2.0 millimeter needle, and sorry, it has a weird colored fluff. These are from my mom. So I just started the toe. This is the first sock. I have my ribbing. It's really a lovely color. I really like this taupey gray color right here, and it's surprisingly adult looking to me for something called Sugared Plums. So it is a Christmas colorway too, by the way, but my mom will wear these any time of year. I knit her a pair of socks out of Nomadic Yarns Spark sock in the Sleigh Bells colorway. It's a blue, light blue, turquoise, navy, and gray. She wears those all year round. I mean, they're not red and green, right? So they're Christmas, but they're not, but they are, but they're not. She doesn't care. I don't care. And the second thing is I actually have another sweater on the needles that has been occupying my time since the 19th, which was, I think, Friday. Friday? Yeah, so Friday in 2015, around this time, I cast on a Miranda sweater on January 16th, 2015. I think I talked about it on the blog way back then. And I made the largest size that they have. It's a short sleeve sweater with a cable detail down the front, and it gets, like, it swooshes out bigger, and you can put a pocket, you can do long sleeves or short sleeves, you can do a hood, you don't have to do a hood. And so it's out of Aran weight at a gauge of 18 stitches per 4 inches. And I decided to modify it at the time. So I used this Elsbeth Levold Silky Wool XL in the number 9 colorway, which is also known as deep turquoise in a lot of shops or whatever call it deep turquoise. It has been discontinued since I knit this sweater, which I didn't realize until I pulled it out again. So I had ripped it, I did modifications. So it's raglan, top-down raglan, and the sleeves, after you split off for the sleeves, you basically bind them off right away if you want to do the short sleeve version, and then you keep knitting the body. And because of the sizing, I increased more over here on the raglan shaping. After I got to about halfway, I increased more for large bust size, because my upper bust is probably about a 52. So I increased more rapidly in here, and then under the arms I cast on more stitches than called for in the pattern, and then I decreased them away very quickly, because the sleeves, I didn't think the sleeves would fit. I thought the sleeves were too small. But since then, the pattern's been revised, and I think that she just updated, like, the layout and the wording and stuff like that. I don't know. Anyway, it didn't fit right. It was way too baggy under here. And I basically could have taken like probably about 2 inches on either side and just schlooped it off and like cut it. But instead of doing that, and I did talk about that with my mom, like I was just going to gather in on both sides where it needed, mark it with a pin, and then sew it, and then cut off that excess fabric. But it kind of sat funny in here because I did increases on every row instead of every other row, so it didn't lay quite right. The rest of it fit fine, but it was just in here that it wasn't right. And I don't really need more attention drawn to my bust. So I ripped it out completely, and I made 2 huge skeins like this, about the size of my head. And I originally had 9 skeins of this, and they were only 50-gram skeins. So I had about 950 yards, I believe. So it's 104 yards per 50-gram skein. So yeah, I had just over 900 yards. So I ripped it back. I ripped back the whole thing, thinking it took me, well, let's go look at 2015. That's the nice thing about having these tabs in Ravelry, where you can like categorize your whips based on the tags that you put on them. So I have a 2015 tab, for example. So instead of scrolling through all my projects, I can just pull up 2015. And I did take a lot of notes as well. So 9 skeins is 936 yards. And for me, that's not usually nearly enough to make a sweater, but it was enough to make the Miranda with these mods. So I started it on January 16th, 2015, and I completed it on February 1st, 2015. So that's 15 days, like 2 weeks. That's the shortest I've ever taken to knit a sweater. After that was probably my worsted boxy, which took me exactly a month. So anyway, I ripped it back. And it's been sitting in the cake in my stash ever since. Actually sitting like in my want to use soon area ever since, because I figured it wouldn't take long to reknit it, but I just haven't felt like it. So I packed it. When I was packing, I packed a bunch of skeins into a small Rubbermaid bin. I wound a bunch of stuff and just tossed a bunch of stuff in there, because all of my yarn stash is currently stored at my parents', which is an hour outside of Winnipeg. And they're leaving now for vacation for 2 months at the end of January. So I wanted to have enough yarn with me that was already wound and ready to go before they left. Actually, before I moved. So I wound a bunch of stuff, and it's mostly just 1 skeins of sock yarn that I wound. But I put this silky wool in there, and I also put the 5 skeins for my pavement sweater in there, so that I had, you know, some larger projects to work on. So on Friday, I decided to cast this on. And I am using a US 8. Now, because this has wool in it, so Silky Wool XL is a 20% wool, 20% silk blend. It's the same as their Silky Wool, which is like a DK, light DK weight kind of deal, but it's like a heavy worsted. It's listed as an Aran because they don't have heavy worsted. Anyway, I'm knitting it on a US 8. That's a 5.0 millimeter needle. My gauge unwashed right now, like this has been washed technically, because I made my original Miranda and then I washed it and blocked it, and it's non-superwash, so I hand washed it and laid it flat to dry. But it has been sitting in cakes for 2 years, 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. So my unwashed gauge is the 18 stitches per inch called for in the pattern, or 18 stitches per 4 inches. Sorry, 18 stitches per inch. That's something else. I don't think I could do that. Anyway, I'm hoping that once it washes, it blocks out to about 16 stitches per 4 inches, so 4 stitches per inch instead of 4.5, because then it will fit nicely, I think. So right now, I have split off for the sleeves, and I have done, there's 2 increase charts that you do for this size. I have done 1 entire increase chart, and I have got about 9 rows left on the second one. So yeah, I'm almost done. I'm done one, like this is all the yarn I have left. Now, instead of just blocking off the sleeve stitches. I think I'm actually going to pick up and do about 1 inch of ribbing on the sleeves. I've seen a couple other people do that, and I think it looks nice. The other issue that I had actually with the sleeves is that they came down and then they kind of flared out at the top. They didn't want to sit nice. They didn't want to actually lay flat. So I'm hoping that the ribbing helps with that. So yeah, I've put a lot of work into this. It's all I've been knitting on basically since Friday. Well, I did the one heel in the socks, and I have the Spice Plum socks I did cast on this weekend, but this is where the majority of my knitting time has gone, and I'm hoping that I will be able to get it done this week, maybe, hopefully. So I am still doing some mods. I'm not doing any mods in the raglan shaping. What I did was when I started the first increase chart, after splitting off for the sleeves, it has you do increases in the chart portion, then you do complementary decreases on the outs, like on the edge, the stockinette edge of the chart. So for the first increase section, I did not do the matching decreases. I started doing the matching decreases when I started the second chart. So that allowed me to do, I guess, waist shaping, because I increased after the bust. And then once I figured out that I was at a stitch count that at 4 stitches per inch gauge gave me a circumference around my stomach that I liked, I then stopped. I then started doing my decreases. So we'll see how that goes. The light above the table, it's on a dimmer switch, and it has this really weird humming noise if it's not on full or completely off, and I have it on like halfway. So if you can hear the humming, I'm really sorry. Let me know, because then I will have that light on less or more as needed, depending on the sun. Like, it's super overcast today, so without the light on, I have the blinds open, but it's still really dark in here, too dark. So let me know if you can hear the hum, because it's annoying me, so I can't imagine what it's doing to you. Side tangent. So yeah, I'm really hoping that the Miranda will fit this time. I do not want to reknit it. I do not think I will be able to find another sweater that will use this much yarn that will fit me. So if this doesn't fit, maybe I'll give it away. I don't know. It'll be way too big for my mom, and my sister-in-law won't wear it. So I don't have anyone in my family that I can give it to. So yeah. Speaking about sweaters that didn't quite fit. So last year, in 2017, I finished my low tide sweater. So it's a cardigan by Tin Can Knits, and I did it lace weight held double. It's out of Madeline Tosh lace in the Morning Dove colorway. So you knit the 2 panels and the back 2 panels, and then you attach them, and you're supposed to just knit back and forth to create like an open swingy cardigan. And I decided to do a t-shirt instead, so I just knit in the round the whole way down. It's really tight across the bust. I guess it didn't grow as much as I was expecting. Maybe that's because I held the yarn double. So I've sewn this together and put buttons on it, but when I put it on, it doesn't quite fit properly. So I'm not quite sure what to do with that. I do not want to rip it out. That would make me very sad. I haven't really tried it on since my mom reinforced those buttons, so maybe I'll do that. And like, I want to wear it underneath like a tank top, or I could do like a long sleeve shirt. I have a couple gray long sleeve shirts. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it and see how. If it looks terrible, then I don't know what I would do besides rip it out. But it used like 2,200 yards of lace weight, so I don't really want to rip it out because I don't know what I would do with that. I mean, I still have, I think, 2 quarter skeins left. I have some left. Anyway, yeah, not sure what exactly to do with that, but I should try it on again and see and take a picture and, all that's fun stuff. Otherwise, I'm not doing a whole lot. Just knitting and playing with my niece and helping out with my nephew and all of this stuff. So I am spinning. I'm still working on the Ethereal Fiber Arts Organic Polworth in a one of a kind colorway. It has sections of blue and bluey gray and then into like a brown and then a yellow. It's downstairs and I didn't bring up the bobbin. I think it's still attached to the yarn right now. So yeah, I think we're going to call that good. So I hope you are enjoying whatever you are knitting, and have a great until whenever I can podcast again. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Right now, nobody's around, so